Maya's laws and other related topics, with the occasional stroll through more relaxed notions. Every Wednesday, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern or 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Crosstalk with Sarah Cross, Studio A on Revolution Radio.
The original machine had a base plate of prefamulated amulite, surmounted by a malleable logarithmic casing, in such a way that the two spurving bearings were in a direct line with a panometric fan. The lineup consisted simply of 6 hydrocoptic marsal vanes, so fitted to the ambifacient lunar wane shaft that side fumbling was effectively prevented. The main winding was of the normal Lotus-O deltoid type, placed in panendermic semi-boloid slots of the stator, every 7th conductor being connected by a non-reversible tremie pipe to the differential girdle spring on the up end of the gram meters.
Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio, taking the confusion out of transmutated lunar girdle springs for 4 years and running. Revolution Radio, the #1 listener-supported alternative media radio on the planet. All right, thanks for listening while we took that short break here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. And now we're going to get back to your host.
Welcome back, everybody. We are already, can you believe it, into hour 2 of the show. The first hour, a little bit rough start, but don't worry, because it is already hour 2 and it's starting off great. I have my amazing guest on here. You can find their YouTube channel, Love, Truth, and Beauty. I did put a link in the chat. I will put it there again. Please go and check out her work. She's doing amazing work. I love having her on the show. As I keep saying, Marja West, welcome back to hour 2. Great conversation for the first hour. And you brought up a great question at the end of that hour, which is, where is your energy going? And that is very telling and something that people should ask themselves.
Absolutely. And most people won't, because they want to rant and rave. And that's the whole thing. I think that that points to the uber importance of shadow work, the uber importance of really making sure that if you're going to have a meltdown, you know what you're melting down to. Because it's clear that the powers that want to be are really banking on the willful ignorance of the masses. And the willful ignorance to the manipulation, the flagrant manipulation that's like going on, that is igniting everybody's sore spots, everybody's woundology, everybody's trigger, and everybody's trauma. And that's the tricky part about of trauma, any kind of trauma, is that it can be used against you. It can be used such that your traumas, your dramas, your pains, all of that can be used against you, and you'll end up being a tool to your own demise, a tool to the demise of humanity, because in this spell casting that is being really manipulated by media, manipulated by the science. I call it the science. Believe the science. It's like, everything is being inverted. And we have to understand that if we don't know what our triggers are, and we're allowing our triggers and how we feel about things to cloud our ability to think critically, think clearly, and to be able to extricate ourselves from any kind of situation, when you get hit to the fact that you're being manipulated or you're being used as a tool for these agendas, this is what it means to be conscious in your life, is to know when you're being worked. Right. And for people to not fall for the bait. Don't fall for the bait. And there's just, so the latest thing at the dog park, and I was amused because there are a group of relatively young women. And when I say young women, they are wives of super scientists because at Sandia Labs, etc. And so these housewives, they have these nice houses and all this kind of stuff, and they're of childbearing age. Well, they're talking about, because of the election results. Now, these are well-to-do women. They're going to go on a sex strike because they're convinced. And I'm sorry that I'm laughing, but it's so absurd to me. And I'm just standing there. I'm dumbfounded because I'm thinking, this is a joke, right? But no, they're very, very, very serious. And they actually believe the sort of rants and raves of shows like The View, which I've never seen, but I've heard way too much about it. That just is like, it makes my skin crawl, and it makes me feel like, wow, what kinds of women are these people? Like, I don't understand it. I don't understand it. But that was one of the topics. And I asked one of the ladies, because I'm on speaking terms with her, what that was about. And she just
you have to
snapped
ask
at
that.
me.
I would have asked too. I've been like, you got to break this down.
Yes, yes. Well, she snapped at me, and she was surprised that I didn't know about this. But why are you surprised? I'm a 65-year-old woman. These are not my concerns. Abortion is not my concern. Okay. And going on a sex strike, I'm sorry, I did 10 years of celibacy. Okay, so what does that mean, a sex strike? Because you believe in something really just
I don't even know what that
absurd.
Yeah, it's like, what does this even mean? I bet you they probably can't even break it down properly.
Yeah, it was really, really weird. And so this is what we're talking about here. We're talking about the fallout of identitarian politics. That is, pick an ism, any ism, and we're going to use that ism, okay? And we're going to blame it. We're going to blame it on the other people because it's all their fault. And there's no rational thinking, there's no critical thinking, just a bunch of toddlers having meltdowns. And it's just crazy. I mean, have you seen some of these meltdowns on?
Oh yeah. Yeah, my buddy sent me a video of it was a compilation of meltdowns, and what started off as funny for me quickly turned sad. And that's what I find with a lot of things. Like, I laugh at first, and then I'm just like, okay, this is really not that funny. I mean, because you're describing it perfect too, is how they're playing people against each other. And what kind of turned it sad for me was there was some videos, where the woman's on there saying, like, she's here bawling on TikTok. It's usually where I saw was these little clips that he sent me, and they were having a meltdown because of what was going on with the election. And the one lady's like, my husband's in the other room and he's all happy, and I'm in here crying, and he doesn't even know I'm upset. And then I saw the bigger picture. I was like, wow, there's that divide that we're talking about. Yeah. Like, he's in the other room. He's well, she's not really clarifying. Like, is he happy because of the election, or is he just happy? I don't know. She did kind of say what was happy, but she was, the point was she was in the bathroom bawling, and because of what happened, and he wasn't acknowledging it. I don't know. I mean, what the deal was, but it was just sad to me because I saw that divide that you're talking about, and this is what they do to people, and I see them doing it everywhere in politics, family. Pick it, they're dividing.
Yes. Yeah, so and that's what it's done. It's divided families.
That's that's what makes it sad. Like,
and it's very strange because at the dog park, there isn't a conversation. I've tried to broach it. There is not a conversation about what is important in your life right now. There isn't. It's just about this ranting and raving about repetitive talking points. And I just am like, wow, okay. And I'm thinking, we are doomed. We're really, really, really doomed, which is why I think it's important especially on shows like yours channels like mine, that we talk about the shadow work of excavating that ping pong match between the left and the right, back and forth, so that we can extricate and integrate. Because in the extrication of what goes on between the left and the right and the left, and center right, center left, we can actually pull out all of that garbage, because that's what it is, okay? And be able to integrate it so that there is no divide. Because at the end of the day, whatever's going on in your head, whether it's a left, right, center, whatever, is going on in your head because you are not owning your attention. You are in reactivity once again to what you were seeing in the outer screen. And that reactivity is being triggered and tripping you out in your inner screen. And we've talked about this before, about living in the center screen of your awareness, where you can witness the, the clown show that's going on outside of you, your reaction to the clown show in your mind, and be able to witness it with deep clarity and still own your attention and own your energy while all of it is going on at the same time.
Yeah.
That's what it is to be conscious and self-aware, and be minding your own heart, mind, body, soul, spirit, so that it doesn't get harvested in your reactivity by the powers that want to be. The powers that want to be, they don't care. They want us to go up against each other.
Yep.
They want us to fight. They're having a banquet. They're having a banquet, and we're just letting them do it. We're giving it to them, the tasty morselettes of these screeches and meltdowns, and then all of the backlash and this, that, and the other. And it's happening. The meltdowns within the left. I have quite a number of friends who are politically very, very active, and it's just like they're turning on each other, and it's amazing. It's amazing, and they don't see it. And of course, one of them, well, what do you think about this? And I'm going, well, all I got to tell you is the demonic pedophilia communist regime, they're having a field day. They are eating this up, and you're giving them a lot of tasty treats.
No, I say that all the time too, that people have to become aware of how they're being manipulated. And that's what you brought it up in the first hour as well. You were saying, and I talk about this, it's so important, and it's simple, but it's so important. I tell people that you have to realize that you have to be very mindful of your reactions, of how you react to things, because you're being manipulated, as you perfectly said and explained. And that's why I love having you on here, and we talk about this, because when you're aware of the manipulation, it's so obvious. Like when you finally, but this is where it always comes back to the work on yourself. You have to really get down to who you truly are, and then start doing the weeding. I call it weeding, because like these thoughts and ideas get into you. They don't get there by accident. They're put there and you don't even realize it. They're there. And you don't even know where they came from. You're like, what is going on here? And then you have to, but that's the work you have to do. And then you see, if you don't do this work, that's when if you don't know who you truly are, you're very easily steered. And they do that by emotions and then dividing. And then that's the technique they do. And they're energy vampires. And my brother, I can't believe he used that term, energy vampire. He shocked me when he texted me, and he's like, oh my God. Like, I'm realizing people are energy vampires, and I'm like, whoa, like,
wow.
So if he's picking it up, I'm like, wow, okay, he's actually starting to see it. It's taken me years of chipping away.
Yes. and I think that is a powerful place to be when you start noticing, because one of the probably the most poignant conversation that I've had since I've been back, once again, at the dog park, was with a couple who had, I mean, they were quote unquote self-proclaimed never Trumpers. Okay. And went on and on and on and on about this, that, and the, I do remember being at a cocktail party in the neighborhood and just listening to them rant. And I'm just going, holy moly, I need to get out of here, because I kind of felt like there was a part of me that, geez, I felt in danger because, not voting and not really participating. And, they had some like really, really spicy words to say about people who don't participate, on and on and on. But then get this. So they were supporters of Kennedy, all right, who went over, extricated himself from the race and went over to Trump. And on a, let's take our health back platform, which is absolutely awesome. It's absolutely awesome. I think if there's any platform that really needs to be considered, is really the state of our health.
I agree.
And what's going on, because once again, that's being manipulated by the powers that want to be. We're being poisoned on every front in our environment, whether you care to believe it or not. I really don't care if you believe it or not, but it is the truth. I mean, when you consider that the obesity rate is, it is.
That's shocking when you look into
that. The charts.
Diabetes
it's off
too.
The charts.
Yep.
Yeah. And not only that, when you're not eating properly, you can't be all that smart. You're not giving yourself proper nutrition so that you can think clearly, own your attention, and manage your emotions so that you're not like some screaming Mimi. All right.
Yep.
Now, this couple.
Diet's so important for that. God, I'm glad you're bringing this up too, because I've been on a rant, especially because I've been getting over it. I don't know what I got. I went on for like a 5-minute rant before I brought you on about my this whatever I got 2 weeks ago. Was whipping my ass. And I'm supplementing. I eat healthy. I could do better, but I'm really, really conscious of what I'm eating, and I supplement with high quality supplements like nonstop. And I don't know how people, Marja, are not supplementing and as a minimum. That should just be a standard. It's so important. So I'm glad brain health. These are important things to discuss.
Yeah. So getting back to this couple, because of Kennedy's switch and his alignment to Trump, what they ended up doing, they said they had their come to creator moment, okay, and really started going down the rabbit hole of what the media had said about this, that, and the other thing. And they found Mark Passio, which was kind of amazing in and of itself, right?
Wow.
So they bring this up, and I'm going, oh, by the way. So I've got my phone with me, and I get onto One Great Work Network, and they're like going, oh my God, you're on there. So what it started was this cascade, if you will, of this, they were forced by virtue of the fact that someone that they had aligned with was doing a switcheroo, because they saw the value in a realignment, and they were doing the same. And so it's just fascinating to me that when you start leaning toward really seeing through the veils, and not just the veils of distortion, but the first veil, the first veil, which is the superficial stuff that the powers that want to be get us to divine on: sex, gender, money, food, medicine, pharma, politics, religion. I mean, on and on and on and on. Those are all first veil things. Okay. And when you start walking through all of that and you start going into the wide unknown, things start happening really, really fast. And that's what happened with these people. And so, of course, I implored them. I said, look, you found Mark Passio. You got to start at video number 1. You got to start at the beginning. You can't jump around. You can't start at the latest. You got to start at the beginning. And anyways, they just kind of gave me a funny look on that. And of course, I don't know whether they're doing it or not. I implore them to do it, as I do everybody else that finds Mark Passio. You got to start at the beginning, because the foundation of his work, the foundation of like my work, you got to start at the beginning, okay? Because it builds up. It builds up, and there are these foundational platinum nuggets where you're like, whoa, dude, okay? Because you can't move going from 0 to light speed. It's not a one-off event.
Oh no, I agree. I talk about this all the time too. That you have to, the foundation is the key. And I keep saying that this is what most people are missing, is this foundation. And that ties into what we're speaking about with shadow work and all of that. I keep saying, like, a lot of people know they're pretty in tune with what's going on in the world, and they can probably even explain what's going on and how they're being manipulated, but they don't realize that the work first starts with yourself. And I mean, I kind of sound like a broken record, which is fine, because it's got to be said, and it's got to be said more and more until people kind of get it through their head that, this is where you have to do this work on yourself. And there's requirements, which I love that you brought up. And people, they want everything in 10-minute videos now. Their attention spans are horrible. And I hear it because I do long style interviews, and I get it all the time. I get emails, as I'm sure you do. And they're like, oh my God, it's like 3 hours. And I'm just like, okay, but you'll watch a Netflix special. You'll binge watch that for a whole weekend.
Oh yeah.
Not a complaint, but boy, you got to put in 3 hours for some quality stuff, and you won't do it. So that's just kind of like, I get what, like, I just understand what we're up against. People have this short attention span, but like, I love that you said that, because there is requirements. And I think of music, like, I have to build a strong foundation when it comes to drumming. I cannot, if I don't have that, I'm already, it's like building a house in sand.
Yeah.
I mean, you need this foundation. That's what people are missing. And they got to go back, like you said, to whatever it is. You have to go to the beginning. You have to start.
Exactly. I mean, as a percussionist, you got to find the one. If you can't find the one, you're kind of off.
Exactly. It's true. It's true. And that's the thing. I mean, people, I'm constantly building that foundation when it comes to music, because I know how important it is. And I learned that, actually, the importance of a foundation I've learned by what we're speaking about. Because if I don't have a strong foundation in whatever it is, it is, it doesn't have to be music. It can be art, whatever, dance, name it. Anything that, if you don't have that strong foundation yourself, like, let's bring it right back to, like we were saying, like, this strong foundation that we have, that we have to work on daily. It's so important, Mark. And like I said, I keep selling a broken record, but it's so important. That's really the key of us getting out of this mess, is people have to be honest with themselves where they're at, and then be well aware of their triggers and how they're being manipulated. If they can't admit that, you're already in trouble. If you won't admit
you're
that's
a tool
happening
for the evil that prevails.
Right.
And it doesn't matter which side of the fence that you're on.
They don't care. They don't care.
But I do have to say that I was actually quite impressed with the conversations that I had with the new Trump supporters. I mean, these were people that voted for Hillary Clinton and voted for Joe Biden, okay, and then saw the stark differentials between how they were living during Trump's administration versus how they've been living under Biden Harris since the whole, 7-19, the whole COVID thing. Okay. So I had to bite my tongue, because these people were all vax, multi-vax, boosted, da, 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 da. But the fact that they could even think themselves out of what they were, really staunchly, blindly aligned to, and realize, yeah, this open borders thing, not working for me. Okay. I was doing much better under Trump economically, and just seeing through the BS. And I was impressed. I'm like going, damn, and I was sort of amused that, these people they weren't name calling. They weren't having meltdowns. They were just talking facts and numbers, and just kind of really sick to death of what they were experiencing. And how it wasn't going in the direction that they thought it was going. And I was just kind of like sitting there going, wow, that's kind of cool,
Yeah. Well, at least
because
you're open to the discussion.
right.
That's
right.
what I think is important. If you can have at least be open. And I always tell people that too, Marja, as you know, I know you say that too. Like, we don't have to agree on everything, but we can have a discussion and do it. There's a correct way to do it.
Yes.
And you don't have to, tear each other down and resort to name calling and all of these things. I mean, there's a lot of people I talk to that I don't agree with everything, and that they don't agree with me on everything. That's great.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. And to be able to hold a conversation that's civil, it can be heated, but to not go in that, because the way I've witnessed these, just the name calling alone is it's very disturbing. And then the screaming, just the one word, fascist, on and on, fascist, racist, the ism and the is.
Yeah, they throw those words around too so easily.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, these are such powerful words that people, I don't even think they really know the meaning of the word. I really would love to ask people, like, okay, give me the definition of that word you're throwing around so easily.
Yes.
That just it's just a thing of me. That's something I got to work on, because that really bothers me, that people, what they're doing to language is another whole show, but like how they're, people just whip these things out so nonchalantly, like pedophile and Hitler and racist, and pick the word, and I'm just like,
it's craziness.
It's craziness.
So I want to ask you, Rick, what is the climate in Canada?
You're asking for me, politics, you're asking the wrong person. I really don't put much stock into it. But I mean, I definitely know that, we got our problems over here for sure. Yeah. Like, I mean, we're a mess. Like, we're not any better. I tell people, like, our healthcare system is a disaster. And I love when people say that they're from the US now, like, you got free healthcare. And I'm like, yeah, you have no idea what you're talking about. Like, you really don't.
It's not free.
Yeah, like, nothing's free. And I mean, you might die waiting for a surgery here and stuff like that. Like, the waiting lists are crazy I know people that have needed heart surgery and they're like 4 years waiting and stuff for, like, in other places they would have had it done probably in a month or something like that. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, so we got our problems over here. I know a lot of people aren't happy with our prime minister. They haven't been for a long time. So I'm curious what's going to happen with that and the U.S. I mean, I don't know. I don't think Trump has any love for our prime minister. That's for sure.
Well, I certainly don't. I know that my videos are banned. My channel is banned from Canada. So
I know, isn't that crazy? What is going on with that?
Nuts. Well,
because our freedom of speech here, see, this is stuff I'm learning because, and for some weird reason, I always tell people I know more about what's going on around the world than I do in my own country, and that's on me. It's just because I'm just like, but I realize that we, like, you guys at least have way more freedom of speech here. Like, Canada is not it's really eye-opening when you start digging into it and you realize like
Mhm.
we don't have the freedom of speech like most countries do in that. It's like you can be arrested here. People have been arrested for saying the wrong thing and stuff.
Yes.
That's a thing. Like like when
Yes.
you dig into it like that, that's a thing. And that's a scary, that terrifies me. When you're
Yeah.
on a path where something, if you disagree with something or say something that's kind of not in vogue at the time and
Yes.
against a narrative, that they can throw you in a cell. Are you kidding me?
Yes. Well, I was barred from speaking. I think you know the story of this, because of the legislation that had been passed in 2017 about the pronouns, the multiple pronouns.
Right.
And so in 2017, I was in Toronto, on a visa, and I got paid for the gig and everything. And then 20 minutes before I'm supposed to speak, I get hit with this 3-page thing about, and they wanted me to sign off about all the pronouns, and I'm like, I'm not signing this. Well, then you can't speak. And so,
That's
and
scary.
and
That's
it
terrifying.
was insane, and I was just like, wow, okay. And I was escorted by security out of the building, and fortunately, there were many people that had come to see me, that paid to see me, and there was a woman who had a very, very upscale condo on Queens Quay, and she invited all of us if I wanted to do my talk at her place, and
That's
so we all
awesome.
walked over there, which was incredibly fortuitous. It's like you can't make it up, but just the whole, and here's the thing, I love Toronto. Oh my God, I was stunned. I was totally stunned. I had just been there the year before, at the beginning of one of my book tours, and I had a very successful book launch over there. And it was just strange. It was just
Yeah.
strange. It's like, what happened? What happened?
That's
I
what I
don't
keep
know.
asking. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
God, like, how did, and then I know how we got here. I always say that, like, kind of tongue in cheek to myself. It's like, oh, I find myself saying that. Like, how did we get here? I know how we got here. I know
Yeah.
exactly how we got here. We were extremely manipulated to get here, and we let it happen. And that's another thing people don't like to hear. Like, we
Yes.
stood by and let this happen. This isn't, they wouldn't get away with what they're doing if we didn't allow it to happen.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't, and people hate when you say that because then it throws the responsibility back in their area. It's like, listen,
Yeah.
you maybe you don't realize it, but you are, by your inaction is actually an action. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Indeed. Indeed. To stand there and do nothing. Yeah, I'm not one of those people, and I've gotten myself into a lot of trouble over the years because it's like, no, I won't.
No, I know. Yeah, you've told me about some of the trouble you got, but it's because you speak the truth and you speak your mind. I love that about you.
Yes.
We need more
Yes.
people like you that just say it like it is, and you're like, well, consequences be damned. It doesn't make it any
Yeah.
less true what I'm saying.
Yeah. Because, and there are
Oh,
consequences
for
to
sure. Yeah.
not going with the flow. I'm a little better at going with the flow now, but I've learned how to go stealth as well. And that is a skill, that is a learned skill that takes it takes a bit of finesse to figure out how you can go stealth, and it is different from person to person. So what I do in going stealth, and when I say going stealth, I'm talking about being able to push up against something without exerting any force, where, because you push up against something, guess what, it's shoving you right back. And uh there's a way to activate the lost word of no without activating some detrimental conquest uh, um, response that can be not so good for you. And of course that's taken a while for me to like figure out.
We all figure that out the hard way, I think, because at first we kind of go like right at it. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
we kind of go at like you think blunt force is the way to go.
Yeah,
Like I
not
at least for me,
exactly.
yeah, it's not a way to like I mean, and that's what I tell people. Like, and then we all make that mistake at
Yeah.
first. We want to, you want to kind of like shout it from the rooftops, and you want to tell everybody, and you're gonna tell people how it is, and then you realize, I realized very quickly,
Yeah.
like you said, you have to. It's like kneading a bread. You got to kind of massage it and
Yeah, it's spiritual Aikido. You
Yeah, there you
learn
go.
how to manage energy, your energy in such a way
Yeah.
that you're not detected. And this is what I call waltzing in and out of the matrix undetected. It is a skill, and you can do it. You can do it, and you don't get on the radar of the powers that want to be, because they're really all about the low-hanging fruit. The people who want to have meltdowns, the people who want to scream at you and just upchuck all this emotional caca and not take any responsibility. They are interested in those folks, people on the celebrity people that are on their soapboxes and going on and on and on. And I just love it. They're all threatening to leave the country. Go.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
People should. That's what I
Let
say.
me help
Hold
you
them.
pack.
Yep, hold their feet to the fire. If they said they were going to leave, well, start packing. Which they won't. They won't. But it's just
it's so ridiculous, because having done a lot of traveling, really, Americans who complain about America, they have no idea. They have no idea what they're talking about, because it is an amazing, it's an amazing place, and I don't poo-poo it. I'm not into the powers that want to be, but the powers that want to be, they're not America. They're not Israel. They're not one thing. Okay, they are running the dramas that affect the Matrix world. And people have to understand that, it is not about this country versus that country, because, the manipulations are strategic. And
well, you have to think higher than that. It's not
yes,
countries doing this. I always tell people you have to go way higher. You got to expand your thinking. You got to think bigger. Like to them, I've always known that, like these imaginary borders and countries and all that, to the powers that you're speaking about, that doesn't mean anything. They don't look at it that way.
no, they don't.
Like they don't look at it the same way we do. You have to change your thought, and that's another thing that drives me crazy. I can't rant about this too much because I'll get on my soapbox, but I'm so tired of people.
Let's have it, Rick.
Because I try to tell people, like, you have to really understand what we're up against, and that way you have to kind of look in research into the dark, like in the Satanism and stuff. And if I hear another person say, "Don't look into something that's dark and that, because it's gonna follow you and it's gonna stick to you," or so, I don't know what they think.
Yeah,
but if you're taking
no,
this in,
not.
it's like I'm not. It's what I do with the information. Like it's not just because I look into it, it's not gonna transfer like to be like a flu or something like that.
Yes.
Like, and I did. So I just I get ranty about that, because I've had people again say things to me like, "Oh, you shouldn't be looking into that. It's too dark and stuff." I'm like, no, you have to know what we're up against, and how do you know that? You need to know. Like you can't. How do you go stand up against something you don't know what you're standing up against? Or you have like a Hollywood version of it in your mind that they plant there. No, you have to know what we're up against, and that's what you're speaking about. And I'm speaking about is you have to think bigger. They don't think on this small scale like we do.
Yes. No, they don't. They play the long game.
Oh, for sure. And patient. Oh my God.
Yes. They not only play the long game, but these beings, they're not human.
I agree.
And I think that is what a lot of people, left, right, and center, they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear it because it's too fantastical. They don't believe, we're not talking aliens from outer space. We are talking low density, low vibrational astral plane entities that have the ability to waltz in and out of human hosts, human bodies, and run the show. And it's been like this for like millennia. So, you know, and I know that disturbs a lot of people. And, you know, it's like, deal with it. Be a grown up and deal with it.
Yeah, or at least be willing to talk about it.
Yes.
I mean, open to that discussion, like we said. And to me, it's so obvious. Like, I mean, like, look at the low energy that they keep humanity in. Like all these techniques that then things that we're talking about are designed for one thing, and that is to keep people in this low energy form. They fear people getting out of that, because then they got problems, and yeah, I get it. I know what you're saying. I'm like, you're not up against. That's the hardest part. I think you said it great, Marja, perfectly. Actually, is that's a hurdle that people have a hard time getting over. Is what we're up, is what that we're not up. It's not what you, it's not like a one person that's doing this. This is something that's way higher and ancient. I think this is something ancient that's been here for thousands and thousands of years. Who knows how long? I think maybe since the start of time, it's been here.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I mean, when you start thinking about the various constructs of our reality, we're supposedly in the third construct. So those of you who are curious, check out Michael Tessarian's work. Check out Wes Penra's work, Penre, Penra. You know, I mean, these are researchers who have done decades and decades of work and writing. And I suggest each one of you, if you have the interest, to check these works out. And they will blow your mind. And you know, I got to warn you, the cognitive dissonance that's going to come up, it's like, holy, whoa, whoa. But that's what we need, because that is the level of distortion that we are dealing with, the level of manipulation, you know, manipulation to the point of purposeful manipulation of DNA. Okay, so I mean, we're talking some really crazy stuff here, but this is what we are up against. So when you start looking at all the crazy stuff that goes on, and all the inversions and the manipulations and the various narratives, it doesn't matter what narrative you adhere to. Just know that these narratives are skillfully designed.
That's right.
To upset you and to harvest your energy, or to get you to become a zombie where you're just a spectator in the matrix and not doing much creatively, okay? In which case your energy is being harvested, because we are all here to create formless into form, every one of us. And those folks who have been zombified into that space where they're no longer creating, they're no longer doing anything except, you know, being manipulated by their phones, by media, by television, by videos, by social media, etc., and just being spectators instead of creators. Okay. These are the things that we have to really be aware of. So, you know, people are emailing me, well, what do we do with all this? Well, this is what you do. You stop paying attention to what those narratives are, and you start taking stock about your life and where you want your life to go and how you want to do it. And you get creative. You get create, make a dress, you know, make babies, build a house, make music, be creative, whatever that means for you. Enjoy your life. Start enjoying your life. Really focus in on those important things, your relationships, your family, your health. Take charge of that. You know, there's a reason why healing is called healing arts. Okay.
Well said.
Big pharma is not part of the healing arts, man. Don't go there. Western medicine is being manipulated. There's a fabulous book out by Casey Means that's called Good Energy, and she wrote it with her brother Callie. Check that book out because it really addresses the inversion of our healthcare system to specifically make us sick, make us fat, and make us dumb.
Yep.
Okay. And if you're offended by that, well, you should check on that trigger. You should check that out and really start going down these rabbit holes and start questioning your reality. Start questioning your triggers.
Especially your, like, these are things, I'm glad you brought this up because these are things that people can actually start taking action in right away. You want, like, your health is, it should be a no-brainer, but anyways, that's a big one. That was a big one for me. And you working on who you're in, once again, the shadow work. These are things that you can do, and it's not a one and done. I always say that, and I know you've said that many times.
Yep.
You've said that in your videos.
It's not a one-off.
Nope. I tell people, you're not doing this in a weekend. You're not going to do it in a month. This is something you do. I check in daily with myself, and it's constant work. I fall off the path. I stumble. I mean, I'm just like everyone else. I never want to sit here and come down on people and be like, I know more. Like, no, I'm just like you. I stumble and make mistakes, but I'm willing to, definitely admit when I do, or say, okay, I messed up. I got to fix things. But these are things that you're bringing up that are so important. Health, and because our healthcare system, I agree with you 100%. It's anything but a healthcare system. You have to take charge. You have to start taking responsibility for things around you, like your health and your mental health, and realize that they're not here to help you. They're really not, man. It's a hard one for people to.
Yeah.
It's hard. Yeah.
There's way too many people taking a very passive approach to their lives, and I know, and a lot of people mistake going with the flow with that kind of passivity. That is not what I'm talking about. I am talking about doing the hard research about the various topics that really keep you up at night, where you're tripping about your high blood pressure, you're tripping about your cholesterol, which has a bad rap, by the way. You're tripping about your rage, your grief, why it is that you smoke too much, why it is that you drink too much, why it is that you wake up in the middle of the night in the cold sweat and ruminating over specific things. You need to look at that kind of stuff. It's not going to go away, kids.
And you can't medicate it away either.
No, you can't.
That's the thing. And I know people, this is actually really close to me because I have a few close friends that suffer from like panic attacks and bad anxiety, which I've got a whole new respect for people that get panic attacks and stuff, because I know people close to me now that are getting them, and it's debilitating. Yes. But I keep telling my friend, I'm like, you have to get to the why is this happening? Like, there's a reason that you're getting them. And now this is where I tell people you have to stay, and it could be for anything. This is where you got to start being a detective. Yes. And figure out like what is triggering it, because it doesn't just come out of the blue. I don't believe that. I don't think it just happens.
No, it doesn't.
There's a trigger somewhere.
I have suffered from panic attacks, and they are absolutely debilitating.
It's horrible. Yeah.
The last one that I had, actually, Derek Bartolicelli, our
man, Derek, shout out,
our sweet brother, and was living with me in my house at the time. In fact, I was scheduled to actually be on Dissolving the Divide. And I believe it was going to be there. Was it going to be their first broadcast? Maybe it was. And I had a panic attack early that day. And it was horrifying because it really literally feels like you are losing control of your body, your mind, your emotions. Like, I got super cold. I was in a sweat. I couldn't get warm enough. And, the darkness was surrounding me. And Derek, to his credit, he made me some really, really hot tea, wrapped me in a blanket, and literally held my hand. And while he was doing that, what I was doing is I was actually working with my energy field to get my consciousness back online, because in essence, some dark force was actually trying to take over. It literally was a war for my consciousness during this episode of panic. And it was frightening. But I was able to prevail with the support of Derek. And I was able to do the podcast later on that day as if nothing had happened. But, these are the things. It's like you realize you've got to be real. You've got to realize, and you've got to be conscious enough about what is your energy and what is something else's energy. Okay. And if you are mucked up with drugs and alcohol, you're not going to know the difference. And that's the thing, is that they don't want, the powers that want to be do not want you to know the difference. They want you as unconscious, as docile, as compliant, as, zombified as possible. And so I can see, if you don't have certain skills and you're in the middle of going down in a panic attack, I could see how it would be easy to succumb to that. Fortunately, I knew some of the warning signs of panic attacks, because I used to get them quite a lot when I was growing up and I grew up in a war zone. So just having those clues, what to expect. And if you get it early and you are able to ask for support, you can nip it in the bud. You can turn it around. And I will be forever grateful to Derek for literally holding my hand through this. And it was frightening, and I haven't had one since. And so, we're pushing 2 years now since that happened.
That's
so
incredible, actually, because my friend gets probably 2 a week.
Wow.
It's bad. He
Oh,
gets
I'm
it.
so sorry.
He gets it to where he's in his sleep. This is the part that freaked me out. I'm like, you wake up in a panic attack. He's like, oh, dude,
Yes.
I'll wake up in a full blown panic
Wow.
attack. And I'm like, dude, I couldn't imagine waking up that.
Yeah.
And so I get it.
It's
And I'm starting to
horrible.
realize it's such a common, this is more common than I even realized. See, and this is
Yes,
where
it
you
is.
gotta start learning about these things. And you make great advice. You have to become very aware of your triggers, and that's what he's learning.
Yeah.
And we're telling him, I try to nudge him. I'm like, dude, you have to start really being aware when this happens of everything around you. What you ate that day, how much sleep you got, who were you interacting with, what did you watch? All of these things are going to be the clues, So.
Absolutely. You have to guard your energy,
Right.
and really mind the company that you keep, because there are a lot of toxic people.
Oh my God.
And the drugs and the alcohol, and I am talking about pharma drugs as well as recreational drugs. These things will open portals into your energy system for demons to take over and munch on you. Believe me.
That's right. Wow. And I'm looking at the time, Marja. We got 2 minutes. And I'm so thank you. Well, I'm definitely enjoyed having you here. I know the people in the chat did. Thank you so much for being
so
patient.
Much, Rick.
Oh, you're so welcome. You're welcome. I'm going to definitely schedule you in for a couple months from now.
Yay!
Again, because I love getting you here every couple months and doing these conversations, because you bring a lot of great information, and I know you care. That's the one thing that is so
Thank you.
Clear when I talk to you and I chat with you, not just here. We text each other, and you're always there if I need some advice or I got an event or something. You're just there because you care. And we need more people like you.
And you care too, sweetheart. I
Thank
mean,
you.
you've
I
been such
try.
a good friend to me. I appreciate you so much.
Oh, absolutely. And same here. And that's why I love getting you on here. Please, everyone, check out her YouTube channel, Love, Truth, and Beauty. So much content there. And is there anything else that we got like about 30 seconds? Do you want to, is there any other links, anything you want out there?
I've been on a little bit of a hiatus
You have.
for the last few months, and I'm starting up again. So I've got some things in the works.
Awesome.
To post in the next few weeks to a month, and it's all good.
That's awesome. Yeah. I noticed that. I thought, congrats, to take some time off. I did that this summer too for my video interviews. I'm just like, I'm not going to do them. I'm taking the summer off. So I'll pick them up again. Yeah, you have to pull away, but we can definitely get that into the next show. I want to thank everybody for joining me once again, for being patient at the start. Thank you, Marja. Once again, you're an incredible person.
Darling.
You're doing great work. I look forward to what you got coming in the future. So check out her channel, guys. Love, Truth, and Beauty. And I will see you, of course,
big love,
on
dears.
Thursday. Absolutely,
ciao,
guys. Take care, everyone, and I will see you Thursday.
Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio.